Hi everyone, so now we are going to discuss another common problem. It's called as longest common subsequence, or LCS in short. So you're given two strings, string 1 and string 2. You need to find out the longest common subsequence of these two strings. So let us see what is a subsequence. So subsequence, it's a subset of a string. Okay, so for example, if I talk about this string, you have lot of subsequences. One could be AC, one could be ABD, and so on. We need to find out a subsequence that is common in both of them. For example, A is common, so one answer could be A, but we also know AB is also common, right? So another answer could be AB, and another could be BD also. BD is common, or another could be ABD. So out of all the subsequences that are common, the longest one is ABD and ABD, because it is present in string 1, it is also present in string 2. So the longest common subsequence would be ABD in this particular case. We need to first find out the length. Okay, so length of this subsequence is 3, and later on we will see how we can print this subsequence. So these are the two things we will discuss in this particular video, and we will start with a brute force approach, right? So let us discuss how we can solve this problem in a brute force manner. So what you can do, you start keeping two pointers to the start of every string. Okay, so let's say this pointer is I and this pointer is J, right? And what you can do, if the values at these indexes match, that means we can include this character in the common subsequence. So we say, okay, we will take A and we will try to solve the remaining sub problems from both the strings. Okay, so I will move here, I goes I plus 1 and J will come here. Now again, this is the case, right? So we will say, okay, B and B match, so you also consider B in your answer, and you move I one step ahead, and you also move J one step ahead, so J comes here. Now C and E don't match, so what do you do? So you don't, that means either C could be a part of the subsequence or E could be a part of the subsequence, because you may have a E here, maybe then E could be a part of subsequence, or both cannot be a part of subsequence, right? So we have something like three options, right? So what you will do in this case, you will say, okay, if I have a sub problem in which I have CD and another sub problem in which I have EDG, so this is I pointer, this is J pointer, so you why not try out both the options? Okay, so what you do, you move I one step ahead, you say, okay, reduce this problem to this problem. So you say, okay, whatever is your function, you take I to I plus 1 and you do not move J, so J remains here, potentially because instead of D you could have a E here, right? Or you could have a E after C, right? So we will see that later on, right? Or what you can do, you can say, okay, E won't be a part of the subsequence. What we can do, we can just move the J pointer, we will not move the I pointer. So another option would be you keep I at the same place. So this is option 1, this is option 2, right? So what I've said is, if you have this problem CD and EDG, you will try to solve two sub problems. One is D and EDG, and another problem is CD and DG, right? So at one time you are removing E, at one time you are removing C. And now you may ask about the case when we are ignoring both of them. So that case will be automatically generated from this point. So from this point, if you make a call, one time you will ignore D, so you end up with a null string and you will get EDG here. And another time what you will do, you will say, okay, let's ignore E and let's make a call on this part. Okay, so you will have D and DG, right? So from D and DG, what you will get, you will have I here, you will have J here, and you will say, okay, add D to my answer and make a call on the remaining string. So in the remaining sub problem, you will have G followed with null. So if one of this remaining string is null, right, then you can never have something that is uh, you can never have something that is common, right? So you just return a zero length string. Okay, so this is how, by making recursive calls, we can actually end up at a case where one of the string is completely we have completely iterated over one string and we reach end of a particular string, right? So in that case there won't be any common subsequence and we will hit a base case, right? So I try to give you an intuitive idea here, but what we will do, we will try to write it in a more better manner. Let us say f is a function that takes two strings s1 and s2, and it takes the pointers I and j. They're initialized with 0. So what we do, if we reach end of a string, if I equals to s1 dot length or j equals to s2 dot length, so in that case we should return 0, right? So as of now we are just computing the length, right? Otherwise what you need to do, you need to check if s1 of I is equal to s2 of j, right? If this is the case, right, then your answer would be 1 plus the remaining sub problem. So in the remaining sub problem you will have I plus 1 and j plus 1. But if they don't match otherwise, right, so otherwise you will say okay, it would be max of the two cases that we have generated. Option 1, that is f of I plus 1 and j, and another option would be I comma j plus 1, right? So let us try to write it in the form of a code and things will be more clear. So let's start writing some code, right? So let me say LCS. So I have string 1 s1, that is abcd, and I have string s2, that is abedg. What is it? Yeah, it is. So what I do, I make a function, let's say int LCS. I get string s1, I get string s2, I get I get j, and you know we have a base case. If I equals to s1 dot length or j equals to s2 dot length, that means one of the string is finished, we won't find anything common, so we return 0. In the recursive case it is easy. So if the current character matches, okay, so if the current character matches, so you add 1 to your answer and you make a call on the remaining sub problem. So that would be LCS of s1 s2 I plus 1 and j plus 1. Otherwise if the s1 and s2 don't match, right, if the current indices don't match, then you include one of them, right, in one option. So in option 1 you say okay, the answer would be LCS of s1 s2 I plus 1 and j, and option 2 would be nothing but LCS of s1 s2 I comma j plus 1, and whatever gives you the maximum, whatever branch gives you the maximum, you return that particular option, right? So what we are trying to do here is we say okay, if a and a match, okay, we say okay, my answer is 1 plus the remaining string. What is that? So remaining string is bcd and s2 is bedg, right? So here also 1 and 1 match, so you say okay, 1 plus 1, the answer is 2 plus the remaining string cd and edg, right? Here c and d don't match, so what do, you actually make two calls. So max of one call is like you say okay, d and edg, and another call is cd and dg, right? And here also what do, they don't match, right? D and D don't match, so you again make two calls. One is null string and followed by edg. So this branch is going to return 0, that is clearly not the maximum one. And in one case you say okay, we exclude e here, right? So that will be d and dg, and this will again make two calls. So here d and d match, right? So d and d actually match, it will make one call, so it would be 1 plus the remaining, so remaining is 0. So what do you get? You get a 1 from here, right? And what about this? So from here you make a call on d and dg and another call on cd and g, right? So you can see you're actually creating overlapping sub problems. So that means this can be optimized using dynamic programming. Similarly for this problem, it would be d would be common, 1 plus 0, so you would be return 1 here, right? So from this branch you would be getting 1 and 1, and maximum is 1, so answer would be 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 3, right? So this is how you're going to get an answer 3 in this particular case. So let us see out LCS. String 1 is s1, string 2 is s2, I is 0 and j is also 0, right? And return 0. That's finished. So let me run the program LCS, and you can see the answer is actually 3. Okay, so let's see how we can add top down memorization in this code. So you can see in this case there are two variables that are changing. Okay, so what we will do, we will make a 2D DP array, DP of ij, and that array actually denotes what is the length of the substring if you pick the characters starting from index I till the last of string in S1, and if you pick characters from index j till the last of string in S2. Okay, so that the maximum length of LCS of these two strings will be stored in DP of ij. Okay, so you are saying S1 may we are picking from I to n minus 1, and S2 we are picking from j to length of S2. Let's say it's n1, it's n2 minus. We are picking what is the maximum of LCS of these two strings that is being stored here, right? So yeah, so what we are going to do, we are going to first find out the length of string S1 and S2. So let's say int n1 equals to S1 dot length, and int n2 equals to S2 dot length, right? So what we can do is we can say, let's create a DP vector, right? So I'm going to create a 2D DP vector. So it would be a vector of the type int. Let's call it as DP. And now I want to initialize this with a value -1, right? So we are not setting a value 0 because that could be a valid answer. So what we are saying is we will initialize n1 number of rows in this DP vector, and each row would be a vector, right? So here you give the number of elements, number of rows, that is n1, and each row is a vector of integers, and each row contains n2 number of cells, and each of them is initialized with the value -1. Okay, so we create a vector of the size n1 cross n2, each initialized with -1, right? So this is a DP vector. So in the recursive function we are going to pass this DP vector. So we are going to say, okay, vector of vector int and of DP, we are passing it by reference, and in all the calls we should add this vector like this, like this. And now when you are computing a particular state, right, so here you are computing a state DP of ij. So what do you say? Before returning you store the state here, so DP of ij equals to this, and similarly you are computing a state here, so DP of ij equals to this. And one thing that we need to check to avoid recomputing same states again and again, so check if a state is already computed, right? So what we do, if DP of I comma j is not equal to -1, you can say, okay, return DP of ij. So that means this state is already computed, right? So hash include vector, sorry, this should not be a DP here, right? So we are just taking a max here, right? And the code is finished, right? So let us try to run this code now, and you can see we are still getting the same answer, right? So one thing we can actually do is we can also try to print the vector, right? So for int I equals to 0, I less than n1, I plus plus. For int j equals to 0, j less than n2, j plus plus, we can say cout dp of ij and cout endl, right? So here you will see some of the states, all of the states that are visited during recursion, and our final answer would be stored at dp of 0 0, right? So dp of 0 0 will actually give us the final answer that should be 3, because we want the answer from 0 to n1 minus 1. And right, so 0 0 would mean we are considering the first string from I equals to 0 till n1 minus 1, and we are considering the second string from j equal to 0 till n2 minus 1. So that means we should have a 3 here. And similarly, if the string is like something like this, a b c d and a b e g d, a b e g d. So for this sub problem, if we have a and a match, right, so we just the 1 plus remaining answer. So for this particular problem, this is I equal to 1, j equal to 1, so this is 1 comma 1, so this answer should be 2, right? So we should have bd, that is a common string, so this answer should be 2. Similarly, you will have some values minus 1 1 and so on, right? So let's see what we get in this particular vector here, right? So yes, you can see, so this is the vector that we are expecting, right? So minus 1 means these states are never visited, either because of the base case, or we never ended up at such values of I and j, right? So if you just want to see uh, which states are visited by base case, you can put this condition here, so it will set those values to 0 also, right? uh, yeah, so this is something we can't do here, because we have made a smaller vector, right? So I equals to s1 dot length, so this index is not present in our vector. So for that you have to do something like n1 plus 1 or n2 plus 1, then you can see the states, right? And here also you have to put n1 or n2, right? So in this, now you can run the code, right? So now you can see the states that are visited by base case, but that doesn't matter much, right? Because base case is a order 1 operation, no need to memorize anything in the base case, right? So you can see this matrix and this matrix is same, right? So we do not actually need to do this thing, so maybe you can just remove this, right? So I just wanted to show you what states are visited by the recursive calls, and we are not computing overlapping states again and again, right? Because of this top down DP optimization that we added. So in the next video we will discuss a bottom up approach and how to print LCS.